Hello everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the Nethergreen podcast. Just a fun podcast series that me and Bradley are doing. Last time we talked about a couple of interesting topics. We talked about
you can't remember any of them.
Horror. I can remember some of them. I was mildly high and drunk, but we talked about horror idea based on being trapped in a room. We talked about, what else did we talk about?
Talked about Rick and Morty.
We talked about Rick and Morty.
Season 5, episode 1 to 3.
Which we'll touch on.
We will.
The latest one.
We'll also be talking about a leaked episode, so major spoilers for an upcoming episode when you get to that point. I'll let you know now.
Yeah. But to start off with, I think we'll start off with some recent shit. We'll start with talking about Black Widow. Because we watched that. Me and you watched that together.
We did.
And I thought, while watching it, I mean, at first it seemed, it seemed cool. But I think as it went on, it started to go downhill.
It did. It really did.
It started to go downhill.
See, from the beginning, it was like the first act, it felt very Civil War to me, which is a compliment, because I think Civil War is a pretty good MCU movie.
Yeah.
But when it started, it's practical, and I don't hate her character or anything, but when her and Yelena finally meet up, Florence Pugh's character, the blonde one, it kind of, it starts to go in a different direction that doesn't really work for it, and then the third act is just balls to the wall Marvel, Yeah.
I think, man, there were just so many holes that I picked in it as we went through, especially with, like, why were all of the people that he hired, what was the main antagonist's name?
Well, they're just called widows. Or do you mean Taskmaster specifically?
Taskmaster,
the one with
Taskmaster, I felt they could have put more effort into that character to kind of explain the backstory of the character, to explain why it was there, why it was the Taskmaster, why it was his daughter, and but they didn't. It was just,
we might need a new
lighter. Do you not? Okay. They didn't really explain why it was his daughter. They were just like, oh yeah, it's his daughter. And it just revealed that. I suppose they didn't have to. They didn't have to reveal any of that if they were lazy, which I think they were. And they didn't really delve into any of the things that they could have delved into. And also, why were all of the people that he hired to be widows women? Why were they women? And his reason was, what was it?
He had that amazing line. And when I say amazing, I mean amazingly cringe. Where he's like, I used the resource the world has simply too much of. Goes like
oh
that.
Man, yeah, they just, I don't know. It was like they were like, okay, all the characters are gonna be women, righteous cause. I don't have a problem with that, but they just decided to not explain why. It was like, okay, we can't really be bothered to delve into the reasons why we can't be bothered to go into giving an interesting, sort of backstory.
I did read one possible fan theory about it, because they bring up the pheromones thing about it, and the idea there was that maybe the female
see, that's cool that
was something I read online. That was not said in the movie at all.
That would be cool. That would be a really cool, interesting and that would make a lot of sense, because he seems like a really manipulative piece of shit kind of guy.
Oh, this guy seemed like this, honestly, because they've had slimy businessmen in Marvel a lot, actually. This was the slimiest of them all. Dreykov was a complete bastard.
Yeah, and basically, also huge spoilers for the movie. We're about to talk all about.
Actually, to be fair, we haven't actually spoiled much yet, so spoilers from now, really.
Yeah, spoilers from now. Yeah, he kind of is a little man that kind of,
he's a tiny little man.
he obviously gets a thrill off of being in power over these women, which is a really slimy thing. Can you cut that?
Oh my god, there's a third man in the room. He just sneezed. Where did he come from? Where did he go? He's gone. That man's never coming back.
He's not.
See, now I don't have to cut it because it's like a man has entered and then left, and they're going to not know it was you, Hector, who indeed sneezed.
They won't know that it was me.
That it was you.
But yeah, he was, he was a little man that obviously took pleasure in being, like, in power over these women, which made him a really slimy character, which was good. They did a good job at making him the character that they obviously wanted him to be. Really, it was like a really Weinstein. Made you hate him. Yeah, like a Weinstein. Yeah, like a Weinstein. It made you hate
Harvey
him.
Specifically. Sorry, Bob. I don't know if you're a bad guy. Honest, no, because I've actually just did a quick tangent. Bob came out and he was like, yeah, no, I didn't know. And man, I love movies. That's all I want to do. Harvey wasn't about that. He was about the money. Like, Bob actually seems quite genuine. Like Kevin Smith, who I talk about a lot in my real life, because I love his films and his art.
Yeah.
Fucking, he worked with the Weinsteins a lot, and it was always Bob who was like the one that was like, this is like, I see what you're doing here, I love it. Where Harvey was more about, is this marketable? Is this going to make money?
Yeah.
So Bob could be a good one, is all I'm saying. I think Harvey was obviously a bad one, but he might have been the bad one out of the two. I don't think both of them were bad. Yeah. So he was a Harvey Weinstein, not Bob.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Bob, we don't stan you. We don't know that much about you, but we hope you're good.
Yeah. I mean,
give us a call, Bob. We'll sort something out.
Call, yeah. Imagine that. We get Bob Weinstein on the fucking podcast. But no, they did a good job at making him, sort of, not just a throwaway villain, one that actually like had some sort of emotional response from the audience. Because it made, I feel like any person who watched that would have that same sort of response, like, oh, what a fucking slimy prick. You get the enjoyment when she fucking beats the crap out of him.
And that's another thing, because I'm not saying this to put the film down in the slightest, but this is a film mainly meant for kind of the female audience. I imagine Scarlett Johansson would actually agree with this. Like, this is a film for those young fans, the young girls who look up to Scarlet Witch. We're fucking men in our 20s. Imagine how a young girl felt seeing a slimy dickhead like that, and Scarlett Johansson, and Scarlett Johansson beats the shit out of him and puts him in his place,
Yeah.
I imagine they probably, that is probably, I think it was a film mainly for them.
And I think that's kind
of... It was done way better than the feminist scene in
Endgame. It's a relevant topic as well, because it kind of delves into sort of like the dynamics of abuse in relationships that, that mostly younger girls and older women suffer with. But I think a lot of younger girls suffer from having really, really controlling, nasty boyfriends, and because they're young, they don't know to be like, to retaliate, to fight back. But I think that did a really good job at kind of addressing that sort of dynamic, because it happens, women are abused by pricks, and it did a really, really good job, I think, of delving into that sort of dynamic with with the main antagonist and Scarlett Johansson kicking his arse. Doing a good job at kicking his arse.
I have to talk about Taskmaster though. Alright, and you personally, you've said that to me that, you don't know that much about the character. Because he's not in much. He's not a new character or anything, but he's just, he's not in much. He's not in anything.
When I saw him, when I saw the Taskmaster, my initial response was, that's a cool character design. Like, the mask was really, really cool. The outfit was really, really cool.
It was, but I promise you, in the comics, it is way cooler. They go way more into the skull aspect of it.
Yeah.
And let me tell you a little bit about the comic character. So his name is, I think it's Tony Masters. Yeah. And so his thing is that he has photographic reflexes. So, and it's not like that in the film. In the film, I think she's being like fucking worked on, and like she's half robot or some shit. That's how it seems. Like, she seems like she's had work done to her and she's being like augmented. But in the comics, it's just natural.
Yeah.
And he can't copy powers, but he can go toe to toe with a Spider-Man or Captain America. You know, if someone has good enough reflexes, he can mimic them. And another really interesting thing about his character this guy could support an entire film. This guy is a really good character.
Yeah.
Because of his photographic reflexes and the way his kind of memory works, the more, like, if he was to sit in a room and watch someone for 4 days, he would actually start to forget real things in his life. Like it would dampen everything else. So at this point, he doesn't actually know like who he is. He doesn't remember much about his life. He just remembers various fucking fighting styles that makes him like, and that's made him quite cold. But he's not lost his humanity. In this film, she has. I genuinely, I remember when we watched it, I said to you at the beginning, because we watched it on Disney Plus, we watched it at home.
Yeah.
I said to you that I thought she might have just flat out been a robot. Because they showed her with like the Terminator vision. I was like,
she had
maybe.
Which also, not to cut you off, but
Yeah,
they didn't delve into that at all. They didn't delve into it at all. They just showed the character and was like, yeah, she got the cool robot, the cybertronic enhancements. Didn't explain why. Didn't go into it. Didn't explain anything at all. Just showed her, and that was it. Like, I feel like they could have done a really cool, like, why? Like, what's going on there?
And he's a wisecracker. He is. Like, they did, and I don't know if I said this to you. I think I said it to you. I must have said it to you. They did to him what Fox did to Deadpool in X-Men Origins Wolverine. No, I didn't say it to you. Yeah, have you seen X-Men Origins Wolverine?
Probably.
So, Deadpool, you've seen Deadpool, so you know Deadpool.
Yeah.
In that movie, they literally sew his mouth shut. And they give him swords in his arms, and they just make him a machine.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
that is essentially exactly what they've done here. Because Taskmaster he's a wisecracker. He's arrogant. Like he knows that he's good, but if someone really powerful comes in, like a Thor, like he knows when it's time to back up and retreat. You know, but he also knows that with an ordinary like kind of fighter, a brawler, He's honestly really good. And he's in the Spider-Man PS4 games as a side mission. And in that probably 15 minutes of side mission, he gets so much more development than this entire fucking film. Where she was, because another spoiler alert, it's a girl, it's his daughter in the film, so it's a woman. I don't know. It's not Taskmaster. They basically created a new character and just gave them the appearance and abilities of Taskmaster. And zero of the character. None.
That's really interesting, because that side of it I didn't know about. That's interesting, yeah.
And they were presented as the main villain. Like, Dreykov doesn't have a character poster. Taskmaster does. Taskmaster was advertised as the main villain of the film. It was like Scott. It was Black Widow versus Taskmaster. But she's barely a character in the film. Not only that, she's barely a presence. The only time she's actually a presence in the film is when she's literally on screen. Apart from that, you basically forget that she exists.
Yeah. I feel like more of the screen time was spent focusing on the family dynamic of Scarlett Johansson and her
which wasn't
Black Widow,
which wasn't bad.
Which wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I think the father character and the mother character had a cool dynamic going on, and how it kind of like
that's David Harbour and Rachel Weisz.
Yeah, and it was interesting how that kind of played alongside how the two daughters, like, they had a totally different opinion of what the family was like. Yeah, they really didn't want to be a part of the family, sort of, especially Black Widow. But those two were kind of like, they were like, yeah, this is a family, we're together, and they were like, more mature about it.
There's that scene where I think they're in the helicopter, and he's like, I'm so proud of my daughters. You're both the most awful killers. You're like terrible people. They have fucking Russian accents the entire time, by the way, and I hate the accents in this film. I don't know why they actually thought it was a good idea to have these 3 Americans.
So obviously
have Russian accents.
Yeah, the guy wasn't American. The actor that played them.
None of them were Russian. They were all American. I can't say American. None of them were Russian, though. That's for sure.
That's not cultural appropriation, is it?
No one really gives a shit about that.
A bit racist.
I don't know.
Actually, shit, it kind of is, isn't it?
All really? I know is they're definitely not Russians. And and he's like, you've both got so much red in your lashes. Your ledgers are dripping with blood.
Oh, yeah, now that I think about it, that is actually a little bit...
Really? You think that's problematic?
I think that is a little bit, because they're just putting on Russian accents. What if that could be considered, like, really offensive and, like... I mean, I feel like if you were a Russian actor, you would feel offended, wouldn't you?
Yes, but at the same time... No, I've got nothing. I actually have no. Yeah, no. You're technically you're 100% right. You are correct.
This is a bit weird,
but
isn't it?
It's not like I don't know.
Do you think it's weird?
It's not the same as like It's not like blackface or anything like that. It's not to that degree. Like it's yeah, like you couldn't visually discern them from Russian people.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Now that I think about it, that's a bit strange because the whole time I just assumed
they might do what Elizabeth Olsen did because Scarlet Witch in Age of Ultron is very Russian, and then in Civil War she's kind of Russian, and then in Infinity War it's gone. She's just American now.
Oh my god.
So mate, yeah, because I know from the end credit scene that Yelena is going to come back. Florence Pugh's character.
Yeah.
Because remember, she sees Hawkeye.
Yeah. Oh, which I thought, that was cool. That was cool. They have like a lineup for a cool.
And Hawkeye, Hawkeye's having a show on Disney Plus, so she's going to be in that, which had already been confirmed, but now we know what she's going to be doing, which is like hunting Hawkeye, it seems.
Yeah, which is cool.
It is.
That's a cool way to get the two characters to begin their interactions.
Especially because it's canon that the way they met was that Hawkeye was hunting down Black Widow.
Yeah.
So yeah, to have a Black Widow hunting down Hawkeye is pretty good.
Yeah.
What did you think of the ending? Because it's the ending I don't like the most. And when I say the ending, I mean the idea that they've taken down the Red Room, which is like a big airship, and General Ross, the guy with the moustache, and all of his men are coming for Natasha, and her family are on the helicopter or the plane, and they're like, "Come with us," and Natasha's like, "No, I've got to handle this. I can do it. I'll see you all again," and they leave, and then she stares off as General Ross's men come. And then it just cuts to black, and why don't you just have her get on the plane if you're not going to show how she got out of that situation? That's such an easy way to get her out of the situation. Instead you don't show it at all.
Yeah. It's just like it was. Yeah, that is like a really. Just having it there for the sake of it.
Yeah,
having that sort of cliffhanger there for the sake of it.
Yeah, what's
throwaway
the point?
And meaningless. Yeah,
completely why not just have her get on that stupid fucking plane? Why have her stare down the men? What did she we know she didn't kill them all.
However,
because General Ross is in Infinity War.
It is the pinnacle of all of the issues throughout the whole movie. I think they didn't put in the effort to flesh it out. Yeah. They just added a throwaway sort of cliffhanger. They just added a throwaway character and subplots that they just put there for the sake of being there and didn't delve into it at all. Didn't put any effort into it. Any effort into the ending, any effort into why the characters were like that, any effort into the backstory of Taskmaster, any effort into the backstory of
there is one thing. There is one thing I like, and it actually makes me even more disappointed that Taskmaster turned out to be shit. In fact, and this might be a bold, hot take, worst MCU villain? I actually think she might be. I think she might be the worst so far. There's been a couple. There's been a couple bad ones. There really have. I think she's the worst so far.
That is a bold claim.
It might be, but it is. But what I actually liked about it is in Avengers, way back in 2012, Loki has a scene with Natasha where she's interrogating him, and he says out loud, Dreykov's daughter. So if she had been really fucking cool, we would have had a reference to Taskmaster in 2012 and all that sort of stuff. Instead, she was shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they waited 9 years just to introduce a shit Marvel villain. By name dropping her in Avengers.
Okay, so you would go as far to say that the Taskmaster in that was the worst MCU villain?
Yes.
Worse than, or was it Sonny from Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Sonny?
Is that what it was?
Ghost?
Sonny Birch?
Sonny Birch?
See, Ghost was a sympathetic...
Hang on a minute. Sonny Birch is barely a villain.
No. Okay, right. Ghost is more of a sympathetic antagonist.
Yeah, Ghost is fine.
But Sonny Birch, I think, that was the worst MCU villain.
No, because here's the thing. Sonny Birch is, that's barely a villain. I mean, super villains, Big bad antagonists, big boys, Of course Sonny Birch wouldn't be the best. That's the thing. All of the supervillains should aim for the best. Of course, Sonny Birch wasn't aiming for the best in terms of we're gonna make this guy top Thanos. Like,
I mean, I would put Taskmaster as similar. Like, Taskmaster wasn't that bad. It was just like,
what was she? What describe her personality to me?
Taskmaster.
Yeah.
Badass lady that could copy fighting styles.
That's a personality.
Yeah.
See, that's another thing, because you said Sonny Birch, but I can describe Sonny Birch's personality. He was an arrogant guy who wanted Hank Pym's research because he was actually secretly kind of in love with Hope, and Hope was using a fake personality, and when that became double-crossed, he wanted revenge on her.
Point
personally.
proven.
Taskmaster has nothing.
Yeah, okay, point proven.
The only personality she has are her powers, are her abilities.
But is that down to the character or down to just that movie?
Well, it's down to the movie because, again, in the comics, he's a lot more than his powers. He's got a proper personality.
Okay.
So it's the movie.
So you're just talking about the way they depicted the character in that movie, not the actual character itself.
No, I'm talking about Black Widow's Taskmaster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then yeah, sure, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and for me, previously, before Taskmaster, for me, the worst villain, and this one actually is kind of controversial because not a lot of people, he's no one's favourite villain, but no one would have said he was the worst, is Malekith from For the Dark World, played by Christopher Eccleston, of all people.
Christopher Eccleston?
The Ninth Doctor.
Really?
Yeah, he was a full villain.
Okay, that's quite cool.
But unfortunately, he was one of the worst villains.
Oh no.
Yeah. Just a boring,
Poor
fucking.
Eccleston.
I'd literally just an angry elf.
See, I
man.
could definitely see him as a villain, Christopher.
Yeah,
Like, I think he's got the right.
He came out a couple of years later and said that and G.I. Joe Revelations, which he's also in.
Yes.
Those are the two worst jobs he's ever had. He said.
See, as a kid, I enjoyed G.I. Jones. I did. As a kid, I enjoyed it because it was action packed.
Did you say G.I. Joe or G.I. Jones, as in the plural for Joe?
G.I. Joe.
Okay.
Jones. Did I say Jones?
It sounded like
plural
Jones.
for Joan.
We'll hear it.
That's funny. Fucking. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You know, yeah. Maybe not the best movie, but action packed and fun, and that's what I remember it as when I watched it as a kid. You know. So yeah, it was good. It was okay.
I've never seen
Have you
G.I.
not?
Joe movies.
It's okay. You know, it's action packed and it's fun.
Alright, what would you rate Black Widow? You don't really rate movies, but like out of 10. 5. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what you do.
See, I think you would look at it more from the script writing perspective, but you'd be missing out a lot of what filmmaking is.
That's not true.
The visuals.
That's not true.
The animation.
You are a liar and a fiend. You remember my old system.
Yeah, but I think the visuals.
The 5 things that I look for in films and that I think about it when I rate them: the plot, the characters / acting, the flow and pace, the visual effects, and the soundtrack and score, and sound mixing, all the sound in general. Yeah. I think about all 5. Don't you dare.
See, but
say
I think
I
I put the visuals higher than you put the visuals. I think the visuals are a film for me personally.
All right, do you want to go through them like that then? Well, all right, so the way I would do it on my YouTube channel is each one is a star, but if you don't think it's that good, you can give it half a star. So in the end, a full 5 stars with all the halves can equal a 10.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So the plot, I would personally give half a star. You know? It's not the worst plot in the world, but I mean, it's not fucking
half star out of
1 star.
Out of 1 star.
So so plot so there's 5, so at the end it'll be 5 full stars. Or 10 little stars, you know. So yeah, what would you give the plot? A half star or 4 star? Or no stars?
I think half a star. There was plot, you know, it was there, but they did miss out on quite a lot, I think.
The character / acting?
Yeah.
No, as in like that's the next section. I was like,
right, yeah.
So we're on half a star each now. Character / acting. Another half star.
I think also half a star.
Yeah.
It wasn't that good.
I know.
It wasn't that good.
visual effects, or just visuals in general. Full star.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
As always, with all of the Marvel shit, like fucking Endgame was like fucking revolutionary.
Oh yeah.
Like
not just Endgame,
good.
because I didn't see Endgame in 3D because I don't like 3D movies that much. Like hurt my head. I saw Infinity War in 3D though. Thanos is one of the best CGI characters ever.
Really good. Really fucking good. The CGI and the visual effects, like they put a huge portion of the budget into that, and you can tell because it is really, really fucking good. Like not like the shit that you see in Black Panther, properly textured, properly rendered. Really,
and you know why
really
Black
good.
Panther was bad? Because a lot of the guys working on Black Panther were also working on Infinity War.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this one wasn't the case. Like, they didn't have any big movies coming up, so they could devote all their time to Black Widow.
Yeah, no, and it was good. It was good. The visuals were really good. Yeah. I thought the visuals were redeeming. Because, like, the thing is, although, you know, I think people that are really avid and involved in, like, you know, the community and sort of, like, all of the more professional, like, aspects of filmmaking, you know, will maybe be more critical of the movie, but I think the general public will fucking love it. You know, it'll be great. It is an action-packed, visually stunning movie, and that's why people go to the cinema. You know, they go to the cinema to get, you know, something that is visually stunning, has a moving story, and it had all of those things. You know, it had family aspects. You know, quality-wise, from like looking at it from like a professional, like way, I suppose maybe not that great, but. You know, it was fun. It was really good, and it went into lots of areas that other movies don't, which is good. You know,
this was thematically, it was one of the most mature Marvel movies.
Yeah. I think there's not enough movies that look into the kind of more feminist side of things in that way. You know,
you haven't seen Captain Marvel, their first female-led superhero film.
Yeah, no, I haven't.
It's theme-wise, there's no themes. There's no theme to that. You know what I mean? There is, but this did that a lot better. Yeah. So far in my little system, we're both on 2 stars. Yeah. So far. Alright, Flow and Pace. It's another half star for me.
I don't really know. I feel like it's harder for me to gauge that. I thought the Flow and Pace was quite good.
For me, the reason I give it half a star is because of the kind of major differences tonally between Act 1, 2 and 3. Like Act 1, you know, it begins really well, begins a lot more grounded, almost like a Civil War. Like I saw a lot of people on Reddit comparing it to a Bourne film to begin with. Act 2, it becomes a bit more wacky when they break out, you know, David Harbour from the prison and the big helicopter stunts, and then ending it with the big sky base. Where how does Black Widow survive in this movie? How does she survive? Can I remind you? She hasn't got a single ounce of super serum in her body. She's an ordinary human person.
Yeah.
An ordinary human person who is probably like 34 in the MCU. Because they haven't done the Marvel comics thing where she's actually in her 90s.
But she's a proper trained, basically like a hitman.
Yeah, but how physically? Like, she did some insane shit. She survived car crashes, bad ones where the car exploded at the end, and she survived fucking...
Yeah, where it fucking on the bridge.
She survived the bridge, she survived... And she fell off of that thing, and how did she survive that landing? I don't even remember.
To be honest, I remember that, and I remember thinking, wow, how did she survive that? I remember specifically...
She had a lot of plot armor in this movie.
She didn't die, yeah.
So and because Act 1 felt so different to Act 3, I think that is in the Flow and Pace. Like, you can make it more consistent, you know? Mm-hmm. I don't know. So I for me, that's half a star.
Yeah. I personally, I'd give it a star because I wasn't, you know, I feel like I don't really explore or really understand that side of it as much. But, you know, for me,
no, that's fair.
For me, it just kind of felt like a normal movie. I wasn't really too jarred. Yeah. I didn't notice it too much. It was kind of, I kind of went through it.
How about this last one, which has always been kind of a weakness for Marvel, and it kind of was here too. The just the sound. The reason it's a weakness is because it's usually nothing special, you know? Like, do you remember the score? Do you remember the music in the film?
Not specifically.
Yeah. Like, I don't. I sure don't. It's not like Avengers. Like, you remember that. But what was fucking the music?
But then again, I don't know. I feel like other ones had more production value. They had more budget, and I think for that kind of stuff, you need to pay.
You say more budget. It still had a budget of over 200 million. Don't let this inflate you. Like, it's still a high fucking budget.
Well, what's that compared to Endgame though?
Endgame was 250 to 300 million.
Oh, right. So it's not even that big.
Do you know how much Logan was?
How much was Logan?
10 million.
Really?
Because it was R-rated. They don't like paying a lot for R-rated films. Joker was also around the 10 million mark.
And those are like, I enjoyed both of those a lot.
And so for me, it's like, if it doesn't like.
So then in that case, I think it's obvious. Obviously, a lot of the budget went on the special effects, the visual effects, because they were really, really good.
They were.
Really,
so would you give it half a star then? Yeah. All right. That means at the end, if I do it as a 10, I gave it a 6, which I did on IMDb. You've given it a 7, actually.
Yeah. That's probably where I would have placed it. I thought, because I think they did a good job at satisfying the audience that it was targeted at.
Oh yeah, like there's no one who's gonna like. I mean, there's no one, including me, who's I think is gonna downright hate this movie. Yeah. I hate Taskmaster. I don't hate this movie. This movie's fine. Yeah. I'd rewatch it.
Yeah. No, I think they did a really good job at making it appealing to the people that they were trying to appeal it to.
Yeah.
They really spread good, like, went into like, abuse, like, all of that stuff, which is good for young girls to be seeing,
And it's also like, and I said this in my university group chat to no response, so I don't know what people think. For me, like, and it makes sense, it's her first solo outing, but for me, Nat was at her best. Natasha, Black Widow, like, it was her best outing. She felt like I'm saying this ironically. She felt like a girl boss. Yeah. She did. No, I get that scene where like Jacob is fucking punching her in the face, and he finally reveals his plan, and she breaks her nose because that was what she was trying to have him do. And she's like, "You weren't weak enough to do it.
You weren't strong enough to break my nose, so I have to fucking do it for you."
Yeah, and then she just slams her nose on that desk. Really so good. I would rewatch it solely because I am a Black Widow fan. Like, I do think she's a really good character, and I was sad to see her die in Endgame. Didn't cry, but I was sad to see her die. I was like, that is a shame. She had a lot more she could do. Yeah,
and she has been, like, as you mentioned to me when I was commenting about the
posters that they did on Disney Plus, which are gone already.
But she's been in a lot of other movies. Her character has been in a lot of other movies.
She's been in the MCU since Iron Man 2. That's
which
2010.
you don't really think about it or notice it so much, but she is. She actually plays a part.
She's a very prevalent force in the MCU.
In the memories, anyone who's been involved in all of the Marvel movies up until Endgame, she's been in a lot of them. She's been a prevalent character, so I think that's why a lot of people would be sad to see her, to see her die. She
was a good choice. That's why she was a lot better than Hawkeye. Not only has Hawkeye not been in as many movies, but people don't like Hawkeye that much. Like, Hawkeye the show, here's a fun fact. So Hawkeye the show, do you know the actress? I'm trying to remember her name, and I don't think I'm going to. But have you seen The Edge of 17? Hayley Steinfeld.
I don't think so.
So she's an actress. I don't want to get graphic or anything, but she's attractive. Let's just say that.
Okay.
It's also going to have Florence Pugh, Yelena from Black Widow, which, as you remember, very attractive. But not only are they attractive, but they're also popular and they're up and coming and all that shit. They're both in the Hawkeye show. And it's a very big theory that they're both confirmed to be in it because no one's going to really watch it for just Jeremy Renner. No one cares about Hawkeye that much. No one cares about Hawkeye. Why?
Because he's not really made a relevant character.
Yeah,
in many of them.
And if he had jumped to his death instead of Black Widow, it wouldn't have been an emotional gut punch. People would have been like, okay, fucking okay, sure, I don't care.
Good on them. They went daring.
But instead, it was Black Widow, someone who had been around since fucking Iron Man 2, the third film in the cinematic universe. Yeah,
which was one of the big ones. The Iron Man movies. The Iron Man movies, I think, were what made it popular.
Here's
That was what made
Iron Man
Marvel
2
what it is today.
Iron Man 2 isn't that good, but it did the most in terms of setting up the universe. That's the movie where you finally like properly get to meet Shield and Nick Fury, and they explain the Avengers Initiative and what the plan is. And then the post credit to that, which is because the post credit scenes have been around since the very beginning, but that had one of the early proper really good ones where you're panning in a desert and you pan to Thor's hammer, and you realise like, oh shit is about to go down.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Would you agree with me when I say that, you know, the Iron Man movies were what popularised, got most of the mainstream? I
would say the first, because the first Iron Man movie was the first MCU movie, and the success of it can't be denied. Here's a fun fact, and it might not sound like much to you, but it kind of still blows my mind. Iron Man was released the same year as The Dark Knight.
Really?
2008. That's how long it's been around.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, it blows my mind to still think about that.
Yeah.
Like, and Iron Man, if Iron Man hadn't been as good as it was, have you rewatched Iron Man, the first one, recently?
Not recently, no.
You know what we should do a commentary track on it or something. Because I do want to start doing that.
That's the one that we need to do, yeah, definitely.
But Iron Man, the first one, is it's awesome. It's such a fun fucking movie.
And it's nostalgic.
Yeah, it's nostalgic. And a really fun thing about it is because it was the first one and it didn't have that much pressure, it's very improv. Like, they didn't really have a script. They had, like, a storyline of what needed to happen.
Really?
And the actors would just kind of riff off their characters.
That makes sense.
Because their characters hadn't been established yet. They were still doing it, you know? And they didn't know they had ideas, but they didn't know what was going to happen.
That makes it all the more authentic, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like Robert Downey Jr. A lot of people still say like that's his most authentic performance as Tony Stark in a way.
Yeah.
Because that's Tony's. That's
his embodiment of the character, not the lines on the script. It's his embodiment of the character.
And that was also back in the day before he just like when he was actually in the suit. Instead of just in front of a green screen for the entire thing. Yeah. He hasn't been in an actual suit since Avengers.
Yeah.
The first one. Yeah. No, scratch that. Iron Man 2.
That's the thing. That's modern technology. So yeah, back then he would have been fully into the character.
Yeah, he was. He was properly suited up.
Yeah.
And he was buff. Like he was actually ripped. Like Chris Evans level ripped for Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
Which no one talks about because he didn't keep that body up. He didn't need to. He wasn't even in the suit anymore.
Yeah.
Anytime you see him, he's wearing a blazer or jumper or some shit, you know? But yeah, no, Iron Man 1, I'd say so. Here's the thing though, no one really likes Iron Man 2 or 3 that much. I stand 3, I agree on 2. 2's a bit naff.
That was the one with all of the suits, wasn't it?
No, that's number 3.
Is that the electric guy?
Yeah, the one with the whips.
Yeah.
I want my bud.
Yeah.
Give me my bud.
Yeah, that one was cool, but yeah, no, I agree. It wasn't amazing.
It was very disjointed.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to stuff a lot into it. They wanted to introduce various elements that would come in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's also the very first reference to Wakanda, which comes up in Black Panther. That's referenced in it. You also see Captain America's shield and shit. Like, they reference a lot of stuff too. Here's another thing, by the way, and it shows how wacky the MCU have become, right? In Iron Man 2, there's like a 8-minute scene where it's like a montage of Tony doing various shit with lasers, and he creates a new element. And at the end, he's like, "Wow, I'm really good." And it's like a proper montage, like various things are exploding, and he's like wearing goggles, and it's like, "Oh shit, here we go." And then in Endgame, he invents time travel in about 15 seconds. And he's just like, wow.
I did it.
Time travel is so much more complex, I imagine, and so much more impressive than creating a new element. Why did you take 8 minutes? That, like, when you watch it back, it's like, wow, this should have been the bit in Endgame.
Yeah.
You know? He should have taken 8 minutes to create time travel.
Yeah.
Instead of just going, that's typing, by the way. I'm in time travel. Like.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I agree. But it might have been unnecessary to include all of that in Endgame. At least I feel.
In Endgame, but it's
would have
funny.
been a
It's
little-
funny when you think about it.
It is,
You know?
yeah. I get what you're saying. But yeah, no, I like that. You know, those movies, Iron Man. That was what got me into sort of that style of.
But in a way, it was because it wasn't actually until the first Avengers movie it properly blew up. Like it was the first Avengers movie. It was the first MCU movie to break $1 billion in the box office because everyone went and saw it. You know, I actually didn't.
You didn't?
I didn't see it in cinemas. I know. I saw Iron Man 3 in cinemas.
Okay.
But I didn't fucking... Iron Man 3 was my first MCU movie in cinemas. I know, right? I was 12.
That's crazy.
I was 12.
That's crazy.
Hadn't even played Arkham yet.
To be
I was
fair,
a young
did I
lad.
see Iron Man in the cinemas? I'm not sure.
It's a hard question.
If I did. Yeah, I'm not sure if I did because that's like.
Because it's been around for years now. Yeah, exactly.
It is old. I'm not sure, but it was what got me into it. You know, I think it's the same for a lot of people as well because it was one of the really really early ones when they were starting to kind of, reach out to what it is now.
Yeah,
which I think is kind of in a way kind of sad because it's less. Like it's more commercial nowadays. Like it's so commercial because ultimately it has to be. It's funded by shareholders and investors who need it to earn loads of money. So
it's owned by Disney now.
Exactly. It has to be. It has to be commercial, which in a way is kind of sad.
Actually, do you want to know? Okay, I found this out recently and it blew my mind when I heard this. Okay, there is an extended cut of Iron Man 3. All right, where they've added in, and you're gonna think I'm joking. All right. They've added in about 4 minutes of completely Chinese scenes between Chinese, because at some point he needs to go into surgery, Tony Stark in Iron Man 3, and he's done by Chinese doctors. So in this extended cut, we get their background and they're talking fully in Chinese. And this was done in order to appeal to the Chinese market.
Right, yeah.
And that was shown only in China. But those scenes on YouTube, they're completely Chinese. There's not a single English person in those scenes. Which, if that was done in the UK, that's just like... it's so weird that they did that.
Yeah.
In a way. Like...
That is strange.
Like, in the UK, they're just fucking nameless doctors. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
But in China, they get full developed backstories. And they're actually having a conversation in the translations in the because there's no subtitles. But someone subtitled it and translated it in the fucking,
Yeah.
And they're talking like deep. They're being like, man, if we lose this, we're killing one of the world's greatest heroes. We're never going to live this down, Like, they're having a proper conversation.
Yeah.
Like, how weird is it
Just
that...
for China.
Just for China.
I mean, there's so many people that talk about this. South Park is one of them.
They did a massive thing about
Disney selling out to China, and it is kind of strange because it is, it's American English. That's what it is, you can't, it's not offensive to say that it is.
Yes.
It's American English, that's the culture of, the movie and making that kind of extra bit just for China.
Also, just so you know, what we've already said so far is enough. This podcast would definitely be banned in China now,
Oh, yeah.
100%.
It's gone. Yeah, any negativity towards the Chinese government. And,
so sorry, Chinese fans. We just blew it for you. We're gone. We're done.
Yeah, I mean, if they're listening to this, they could go to prison.
Yeah,
you could go to prison.
This be as illegal as fucking dark web shit,
Yeah.
But anyway, Hector wanted to talk about something that happened recently. A big nationwide event.
Oh.
Now, he's going to very much lead this conversation because I'm not a fan of any of this. You can explain some shit to me, I guess, but I don't know much. But what is that event, Hector? What didn't happen?
It didn't come home, mate.
Didn't.
It did. I'm going to take my hat off for this. It didn't fucking come home. Man.
It came Rome.
It went to Rome. It went to Rome, and man, there is so much to talk about with that. There's so much. So much has happened.
I didn't even watch the game. I have minus negative interest in football. Football owes me interest. Is how much I don't give a shit about football. So I didn't even watch it. I know what happened because I was scrolling through Twitter and they had like live updates and I constantly heard my family upstairs either going, yeah! Or, ah! So I knew when things were happening.
Yeah.
But we fell.
So I watched the whole game and man, they did a fucking good job out there. And I fucking applaud them. They did a really good job. They did a really good job. They trained so fucking hard, and they fucking gave it their all, and they did England proud. You know, they did a really good job.
I mean, just to get chosen for that team is like a fucking honour. You have to be doing something.
One of the guys there, Saka, was fucking 19.
You said, yeah.
19 years old. And that boy was fucking put up to do the deciding penalty of his country's team.
Admittedly, didn't end well. But it's a great honour. sorry.
Well, fucking, what is it? Grendel? I'm fucking pissed.
Grindelwald from
Harry Potter. But the fucking, that bloke, so much older, so much more a matured player, not fucking 19 years old. He should have been put on for the penalty. Instead, they put on 3 young players. We did
talk about this, because, like, it didn't go well, and now you can be like, they put on these young players. But if it did go well, it would have made their careers. Like, they had to have known what they were signing up for.
You look at really, really famous football players. One, for example, Messi. There's like 2 others, but they missed.
There's a lot more than 2 famous football.
I mean, I'm talking about one specifically that became big after they missed like a deciding penalty. They missed that deciding penalty, and then they became No,
they
great.
can still become big.
No, they became great, because of that event. Missing a deciding penalty is fucked, especially when you're that age. You've got the pressure. Imagine that. Actually imagine that. Actually imagine being stood in a stadium surrounded by 45,000 fucking people watching you as you're about to take the deciding penalty for your country. The royal family are literally over there watching you.
Wait, is this the one that bangs into the goalpost?
Yeah, and he fucking
that was bad.
Yeah, he goes to kick it one way, and then he stops to juke the fucking goalie, and the goalie dives the wrong way, so the goal is wide open for him. He has it there, and he goes and he kicks it, and it's a little bit too far to the left, and it just completely misses the goal. And as soon as it happens, he face palms. 45,000 people watching him, the royal family of England watching him. He lets his whole country down. Imagine that tiny mistake. It's all my fault. I've let my entire country down. And they did that. They did that to the 19, 20-year-olds that were doing those penalties. Disgraceful. They shouldn't have let them go up there to do that. They were way too young to take on that huge responsibility of making the royal family and the country proud. There's too much responsibility for 19-year-olds. Way too much responsibility. And they shouldn't have done that to them. Imagine, they've basically ruined their lives for the next couple of years. All of the because the English football fans, I love football, and I think a lot of the fans of football are really good people. But
wow.
A lot of, there's people...
No, I'd say a majority of them are actually the dickheads.
Yeah, a majority of them are, but I'm saying, I know a lot of good people who enjoy football.
Right, okay, yeah.
I know a lot of good people that enjoy football that shouldn't be classed as that, but there are a lot of football fans
hooligans
that are disgraceful. Disgraceful to a team that worked so hard to get England to where it was. Fucking second place, silver medals, in the Euros. We did really well. And there's people being racist. Fucking, have you seen videos of people beating up the Italian fans as they're trying to leave the stadium?
Yeah, no, I saw that.
Fucking, as they're leaving the stadium, some of the...
I mean, no, because the English fans couldn't even be good to the English. There was that video of them storming the gates, the Wembley gates.
Yeah, they're trying to get in. But, I mean, all the people that tried to get into Wembley for free got kicked out.
Yeah, but the point there is that's not them fighting people that aren't on their fucking team or anything. Those people are completely unbiased. Those are just fucking people who are paid to be there and are fucking putting on the fucking, and they're making sure this all goes to well. And British people still don't give a fuck. We're awful. We're an awful nation. Fuck the British. But at the same time, I'm one of them, I suppose.
It's not just the British though. It's the same in all countries. All
countries I know, but for real,
it's not that. It's football fans. It's there's a lot of not all football fans. I enjoy football.
Yeah,
a lot of good people.
Not all
enjoy
men
football,
and not all football fans,
but a lot of fucking proper dickheads enjoy football, and they paint a bad image for all of the other people that enjoy football. They're supporting their country, supporting their team, and there's other people being like that, and that's why England is the most hated football team. You go on Instagram and you see the posts. you see the posts, and people fucking hate the British.
I've seen a lot of the racial shit.
People hate the English team. Well, not the English team, the English fans.
Oh, you know what we could quickly talk about? A little quick tangent. That comedian that got cancelled because of it, Andrew Lawrence.
I don't know about that.
No, I think we talked about it. Alright, so Andrew Lawrence is like a small British comedian. And I don't think I'm going to say the tweets he said, because they were racist. They were, they were horrible. But basically, he tweeted... I don't know if I should say it. I mean, it doesn't have like a slur in it or anything. It's just... It's in context. I'll say it. It's in context. So his first tweet was... he tweeted... something like, what a surprise, it was the white ones who scored, or something like that. Yeah. And then a few hours later, because that tweet was getting a lot of backlash, he tweeted something like, I can see that this previous tweet has caused a lot of offence, and I want to truly say that I'm sorry that black people can't score.
Man. Yeah, I've seen that shit, and that
and
is unnecessary.
He had 9 different venues lined up for a tour he was doing, and within that day, all 9 of them had cancelled and released statements being like, we are no longer working with this guy.
Good.
He's done.
Yeah.
His Twitter account was deleted. He's gone. He's done.
Those lads gave it their all. They represented England, and they got us to where we were. They got the English team to second place in the Euros. They got us there. No one else did. They did. So we can't say that, you can't say that.
It's probably
they worked so hard to get there, and to say shit like that is, especially after going through, losing to Italy, can't say that. We should be supporting our team in the way that they've supported our country by getting us to there.
I think the idea, because I didn't watch the game, but I saw that penalty and shit. I think the idea that anyone saw that and actually legitimately had the idea in their head, the thought in their head that was, wow, if that guy was white, that wouldn't have happened.
Man.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about, you silly cunt? What do you mean? How is that what you think when that happens, and you don't just think... oh, that's what you think, that your mind goes to, oh yeah, it was because of his skin. Yeah. What? Yeah. It's so fucking dumb.
And it's a shame. It is a real shame that so many of the British football fans are like that. They're racist cunts. They're just cunts in general. Loads of the people that are British football fans, they're cunts. That's why the world hates the British football fans. That's why they hate Britain. That's why they hate British football. That's just why they hate us. If the fans weren't all cunts, then maybe everyone would like us. But everyone fucking hates us, man. I've got a fucking friend from Denmark who's into football as well, and I messaged him being like, GG, and man, you should see, like, he's just so salty, sending me loads of like fucking like memes of how shit the English are and how much like they're cunts. And yeah, people just hate.
How can you take that shit that seriously? Imagine that. Because like, what other sport has a fan base that's so toxic? Like, you don't see fucking golfers being, like tennis and golfers being like, your team's shit. Like, it's just the football ones. Yeah. Maybe in America with like soccer and rugby and shit, maybe. But here, there's no one else. Yeah. It's just those football dickheads.
Yeah, it is. And it's a shame, because there's loads of, like I said, there's loads of good people that watch football, normal people that enjoy football, supporting their country, and then you got all the twats that fucking beat people up at the end of the match, just normal people like you and me that have watched the football match. They're Italian, they're supporting their team, yes, our team won, nice, and then they leave and get fucking beaten up by British football fans. Like
also, man, you're there to support the team, and when the game fails, you start abusing the team. That's like if Endgame was a bad movie, I came out with it being like, fuck Robert Downey Jr., fuck Chris Evans, shit, those guys are shit, fuck Tom Holland. Yeah, like,
it's dumb.
You're there to support the team. This is your team. You're supposed.
This is your country. This is your.
When
culture.
They fail, you're supposed to be there to be like, you did your best, not drag them down further. You stupid dickheads.
Like they've worked so hard to get there for the country, not for anything else. They've gone there.
This country is going to tear down the guys that are representing this country. What's the gain in that? What you're going to do better? Fucking. What's a really dumb, arrogant name?
It's like a family member. It's like a family member working hard to make your family, like, you know, a proud family. And then when they fail in doing so, you start saying, "Oh, what the fuck?" You fucking started saying racial slurs to him. Like, what? No. You know, you know, these players are out here to represent us.
Is what they're there for you, guy. Like, fuck you if you don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
Seriously, fuck you if you did any of that. Fuck you from me, and from Hector.
And from me especially, because all that hard work that those players put in, the years they put in to training, ready for that event, was for what? You know, to make our country proud.
Yeah.
You know, and you know you're gonna shit on them because they didn't do it perfectly.
It wasn't absolutely splendid of them.
Like, no, they did their best and they did their country proud.
Yeah, good for you boys.
Yeah,
I still don't care about football though.
Terrible sport. Terrible. But it's good fun.
2 out of 10.
2 out of 10.
Alright, should we bring the topic to a familiar topic for the podcast?
Go on.
The new Ricks and Mortys.
Oh,
and man. I say that plural because basically I'll explain the situation a little bit. Amazon Prime yesterday, when episode 4 of Rick and Morty released, which is called Rickdependence Spray, they accidentally instead uploaded episode 7, which is like Gotron, Jerrysis, Rickventure or something like that, or something along those lines, which was supposed to air in 3 weeks. And a lot of people were able to rip it and talk about it on Reddit.
So they basically accidentally leaked a future episode of Rick and Morty.
They did. But here's the thing. The future episode they leaked seemed to be very specific. Yeah. Like, if that was random, wow. Yeah. Strange.
See, this is what I said. I don't think it could have been random. I think they purposefully did it because they released an episode which lined up almost perfectly.
It could have been a 2-parter, essentially.
It could have been a 2-parter. They were literally so perfectly together, it could have been a 2-parter. So what, it was just a coincidence that they accidentally uploaded it.
And they also did some shit that now I've thought about it a bit more, because we talked about it earlier, but we're going to talk about it again. It's almost kind of manipulative. And I'll explain what So let's talk about Rickdependence Spray first.
Yeah.
So in this episode, the cold open is really funny, I think. Where Morty discovers the horse masturbation machine, and then it cuts to like a week later, and he's sitting there with his orange juice, being like, "Oh, you're doing good, dog. Like, doing good, boy." And then Rick comes in with the vat of what he thinks is horse sperm, and he's about to test its DNA to make sure, but Morty just keeps fucking grilling him until he's like, "Alright, geez, I won't test it. Why is this the ground you're standing on right now?" And it goes wrong, and instead Morty's sperm become massive sperm creatures.
Sperm monsters,
Sperm monsters that attack the world. And so fucking Rick and Morty get picked up by the president, who wants their immediate response to this. And obviously the entire Smith family go and meet the president.
Yep.
Now, sperm monsters. Fine. I'm cool with that.
A lot of people, obviously, like you said, had a problem with it.
I mean, they've done dumb shit before. Sperm monsters isn't too...
It's quite dumb.
It's quite dumb, but that's not... They thought the dumber part was the chuds, which we'll get to. Alright, so in the venture to fight the sperm people, they get given a load of military guys, including Blazin, who is like a fucking Rambo... Like,
he's a cool character. He's a cool character. He's like a fucking trained like samurai Rambo guy who's like meditating in the fucking military plane when they're flying over there. He's an interesting character.
He is. And they find the sperm uses a trebuchet instead of a catapult, which they make perfectly clear, to bring down the plane, and then the sperm ambush them. And it's only Rick, Morty, and Blazin left. And Blazin, like, he smells out a cave.
Yeah.
Like, he smells the air and it leads him to a cave. They investigate the cave, and and they find some of the sperm monsters, and Blazin goes off to fight them, which leads to Rick saying to Morty, I think my favourite line in the episode, which is, "Don't, Morty. That's just the price you pay for being Blazin." Something like that. I love the idea of saying that to someone about someone. Just, no, that's the price they have to pay for being Hector. But then Blazin, he goes to swing his sword. It gets stuck in the roof. He's like, "Oh no, I can't get it." He falls over. It turns out he's wearing his wife's thong. The knife falls down. It kills him. He pulls out a picture of a fucking swimsuit model. Don't do that. We hear that. Don't do that. He pulls out a picture of a swimsuit model, and he's like, "That's my wife. Give me the picture back. I want to fuck her one last time." And then the sperm eats him, and Rick's like, "Man, we were wrong about that guy. He didn't even buy us any time, man. What a douchebag, you know." They get captured by the sperm, at which point the sperm queen arises, who can kickbox, and they lock Rick in like a Han Solo sperm fucking chamber where he's locked in like frozen sperm, and then they attach Morty to the horse machine, at which point Rick learns that it was Morty's sperm, which he was trying to keep secret. Now this seems a little out of character. How did Rick not know this? Like, I thought, and I saw it a lot on Reddit too, that it was like a Vat of Acid episode scenario where he was doing this kind of to fuck with Morty. Like, maybe he had learned about the horse machine and he wanted to teach Morty not to fucking use a horse machine to jack off. So he like faked like a simulation, or, you know, he knew how to defeat the sperm people. He was just waiting for Morty to have to admit it, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
But instead he's actually like, "Morty, I had no idea, Morty." Like, how did he not know that? He's the smartest man in the universe. He couldn't figure that shit out.
Yeah.
Like,
he knew.
He didn't. That's the idea. But yeah, so Morty starts getting jacked off by the machine in front of Rick. So Rick fucking, you know, knocks himself down so he's not having to watch. And who saves them? Oh yeah, it's Sticky.
The special sperm.
Yeah, the special sperm with two tails.
Yeah.
And a happy eye.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they save them, and I think at that point the president takes Summer's egg to grow.
Yes. This is where it begins to get weird.
This is where it begins to start getting especially weird. So, as they grow the egg, the sperms all run off for the egg. And it's in Vegas. Why they use Summer's egg specifically, I don't know. But, to be fair, Beth's would have been worse. That would have been worse.
It would have been worse.
That would have been worse.
Yeah, it would have been worse, yeah.
And when they're running off for the egg, Rick and Morty are left behind, and they're like, "Well, fuck, you know, now what?" And that's when they get captured by chuds. Which are cannibalistic horse underground dwellers, maybe, something like that. I don't know, I just made that up. Cannibalistic horse underground dwellers.
Chuds.
They're the chuds.
They're the chuds.
Which is that's the funniest part of the episode, the chuds.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. You know, the word chud is really funny.
It sounds like an insult, you know, like you fucking chud.
Chud.
It's like the opposite of a chad. But yeah, so they get captured by the chuds who want to kill Rick because Rick slept with the royal chudness's fucking daughter. But she bursts in and she's like, "No, I'm actually pregnant with Rick's child, so we're going to have a peace treaty with the humans." And he's like, "What?" And then, yeah, so in Vegas, the sperms have started attacking. They're like, shit, you know, the president are like, you know, they're all fighting the sperms. They're losing badly. And then Rick shows up, and Rick and Morty shows up with the fucking chuds, and the chuds attack, and it becomes a big action scene against them and all the giant sperms. Eventually, all the sperms are dead, apart from the queen. And she's like crawling towards the egg. And Morty turns to the special sperm, fucking Sticky is his name. His name is Sticky, the sperm.
Yeah.
And he's like, "It's on you now, boy." And he like gives him a tap, and it's Sticky after he taps him. And Sticky runs up and defeats the crane, pushes her off. She turns into a giant sperm puddle when she hits the floor. And then he immediately plops into the egg. And then everyone's like, oh shit. And the nearby doctor's like, well, we got a heartbeat. And as soon as they say it's got a heartbeat, and this is a funny gag to be fair, as soon as it's got a heartbeat and someone's like, we can still kill it, the president's immediately like, nope, it's election season. You know, like, nope, that's a political catastrophe we don't need, you know? Which is really funny because, like, funny, you know, like, and instead, it accidentally, and it was meant to happen, but it happened way later than they thought it would. It instead gets launched into space.
Yeah.
To be fair, and here's the thing, until the end credits scene, people could have actually thought, like, that was the end of it. Like, oh, it's been launched into space to die, you know? Because it can't grow in space. But no, in the post-credit scene, also, Rick has his horse child.
Yeah, Rick also has a child with the Queen of Chuds.
Yes. Oh no, it's the Princess of Chuds.
The Princess of Chuds, yeah, with the Princess of Chuds. And the child is birthed
and it's land. A little Rick horse, like it's got Rick's head and like...
It is basically like it's basically a Rick, but with a horse body.
It's like a My Little Pony Rick.
My Little Pony Rick. And then it just digs into the ground and it's just gone.
And Rick's like, is that it? And the Princess Chudness is like, yeah, he's good. And Rick's like, okay, well, see you then. And she's like, yeah, bye. And then she just digs into the ground too really fast and leaves.
And he's like, oh yes, nice. Score.
That he was like, yeah, he literally tapped a that was easy button.
Yeah.
But then the post-credit scene happens where it's a space shuttle, astronauts, and it's one guy specifically talking about how he feels really bad that he came to the thing because his wife was pregnant and he feels like he's abandoned his child. And then he looks up and sees the giant incest baby
the giant incest baby
that has
floating
been born
in space, yeah,
and is, you know, alive, and it grabs him
also,
and shakes him.
That's a good point. How the fuck would it be born or alive? Because you need a placenta and like all of the nutrients to grow a baby. So what did it grow from? Just the egg and the...
Exactly. It actually makes zero sense that this baby would be alive. None. All it is a bigger baby. That egg was normal, and technically it
would still need the same stuff.
Yeah,
and it didn't have
like
any
Rick
of it.
did something to the sperm. Technically, that's why they became monsters. But he did enough so the baby would just survive independently of a mother, of like a.
How would it grow?
Chamber.
It would need all of the nutrients, you know, to grow. It
exactly.
normally gets like food, water, and all of that from its mother.
Exactly. And
nothing.
and
I disagree.
And so we by the end of the episode we know there's a giant sperm baby out there. Now that should have been the end of the story, you know. That should have been it. We should have only had episode 4. But episode 7 was released by Amazon Prime, which someone should be fired.
Someone has definitely been fired.
That's bad.
That's insane. If it is truly a mistake that they didn't mean to do, someone accidentally posting episode 7, the wrong episode a couple of weeks ahead, that person is fired. Also, how the fuck do you make a mistake like that? Also, how the fuck could something like that not be automated?
The only thing I can assume in terms of how can you make a mistake like that is that sometimes production codes are different for episode schedule. For instance, episode 4, the one we just watched, was actually the 5th in the episode schedule. So maybe somehow episode 7 was 4, but that still wouldn't make sense to me. In fact, that would make less sense to me. But I don't know. I don't know how it happened. It happens sometimes, but usually when it happens, it's very early on. For example, the first 5 episodes of Capaldi's era were leaked like months before he actually aired. But here's the thing, when they were leaked, A, they lacked any special effects, and B, they were completely black and white with a watermark. This was the full fucking broadcast episode.
Yeah. You see, the only way that I could see this was leaked was that it wasn't really leaked. What it means is that from when the man uploading the file to the Amazon, so you know, as a company, whoever would own that?
Well, Amazon.
No. I mean, what? Cartoon Network.
Oh, I mean, Adult Swim technically, but Cartoon Network.
So Adult, you know, the man working at Adult Swim to upload the content onto Amazon Prime so they can post it at the the agreed time. The only way that could have happened is if he uploaded the wrong file for, titled episode. What was that supposed to be? Episode?
It was episode 7.
What was it supposed to be?
4.
So, he'd upload episode 4, but it was with the wrong file. and no one checked it. No one checked it between then and when it was released. That's the only way that it could have happened.
Imagine if it was the season finale. Imagine if it was the season finale.
Unless they did it purposefully.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If they did it purposely, A, why was it only Amazon Prime? And B, why was it removed so quickly and still hasn't been like addressed by Adult Swim? They don't want to. They ain't talking about it.
Well, they haven't said anything.
No, I learned about it from fans on the subreddit because loads of fans.
Surely they will have to acknowledge it happening.
I don't know. The BBC never formally mentioned the Doctor Who leaks. They tried to sweep it under the rug. It was fucking websites and news articles that addressed it. They didn't want to comment on it.
That's interesting. I wonder if we'll see them actually acknowledge it, or whether it will be just something that's forgotten about.
But okay, so episode 7. It might be bad to watch a leak, but for the purposes of this podcast, is the excuse I'm going to use there.
Yeah.
We decided to watch it. Okay. Right. First of all, the people who watched this thinking it was episode 4 and thus hadn't watched episode 4, I cannot imagine what they thought of. Because that's another thing, actually. I read it on Reddit when I found out about the leak. I read that apparently it would feature the return of the giant incest baby. When I first read that, I thought that was complete bullshit.
Yeah.
Because people hate, like, that episode 4 of season 5 is now the lowest rated episode on IMDb of Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Fans hated it. So I was like, I read that and was like, some guy's trying to make people, he's baiting people essentially.
Yeah.
No, he fucking wasn't. I can't believe he wasn't. But here's the thing. Alright, let's go through the plot.
Yeah.
So, yes, and major spoilers here, because, yeah, it's a leaked episode, so you genuinely might not be able to find it, or might not want to watch it and stuff. So if not, I don't know, I'll put time codes in the description.
It's full quality. It's normal quality.
Yeah, but
they fully made it.
Yeah, but some people, they're not like us, but they maybe, just can't find it,
I see, yeah.
Or, they just don't want to watch it, they want to wait until it airs in 3 weeks. So I'll put time codes in the description either way.
Yeah.
But, so Rick, Morty and Summer are going to Boob World, which has been referenced before, Boob World.
It has, yeah.
And on the way, Rick spots a giant Voltron robot. And Gotron, sorry, is what they called it. And the Gotrons, what do they resemble? Ferrets?
Yeah.
They're like big ferrets, yeah.
This was the Go-Gotron.
The Go-Go, yeah, he wants to make a Go-Gotron out of the Gotrons, and then he wants to make a Go-Go-Gotron. But yeah, and Morty wants to ignore it and go to Boob World, which makes him kind of resent Morty a little bit for that. And so he decides to kind of take Summer on as his main companion there.
Yeah.
And then it does a really funny gag where Morty begins having a voiceover, being like, and that's how it all started. We didn't know it, but it would all change from there. And then it immediately cuts to Summer having a different voiceover, and Morty's voiceover is like, "Wait, what? Can you hear me? Hello? What's going on?
What's happening?"
It was a really funny gag.
Yeah.
And then so that he finds, I think the idea of it was he already had the other Gotron armors, because he does just randomly have the other 4
because of his childhood. He always went, but it's the implication because we don't see him collect the other 4. So was that he completed his collection with that one? I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he already had an established interest.
Well, I mean, in the episode, yeah, he's never mentioned a Gotron thing before. But yeah, so he already had them all, and this was the final one. And then when he gets it, he assembles the family, and he's like, "We've all got to become Gotron robots now." And they shoot them all into space in their different Gotrons, and they form a Go-Gotron, or whatever it is.
Yeah, so they connect all of the robots together. So
as limbs.
So 2 of the robots create a limb, the other one the other limb, and then the body, the legs, the head, and they combine them all together. 5 together make 1. And then he's like, well, now we need to make a Go-Gotron, which is with 5 of those limbs, so it would be 25.
And to do that, he goes into the multiverse. And this is the first appearance of... Well, we don't actually know that because it could appear in 5 or 6. But if it doesn't, this would be the first appearance of the portal gun in the series, actually having a plot point in the series.
Yeah, you did mention that.
Which could be relevant, or it could not be. I don't know, it depends on the next 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But he brings in a load of different alternate Smiths, different Ricks and Mortys and Beths and Jerrys and Summers. And he's like, look, I'm you guys, okay? I know how much you guys love the fucking Gotrons. I love the Gotrons. I know you guys have already started finding Gotron pieces. We will help you find the rest of your Gotrons if you agree to form a Gotron. You know, like a mega Gotron.
A mega Gotron.
So they go around and start killing various anime characters in order to get their Gotrons. And it all goes well, to be fair. Like, they create like a factory of Smiths all doing various shit. Yeah. And then, I don't know, Rick starts to get a bit drunk with power, I guess. Like he starts to get drunk with power, but what's more interesting... And also alcohol. He gets drunk too.
What's also interesting is that Summer slowly starts to replace Morty.
Yeah.
In that episode, which is quite weird.
And
something
he
that you never
shows
see
so
before.
much. He's showing so much more affection to them. He kisses Summer on her forehead at one point in this episode. He's never done anything like that before.
It's a very different side to the character.
It is. And yeah, then we get to that fucking dinner scene. And it was here where do you want to bring up the sexualization of Summer Smith? Oh shit. Can you turn that off?
Yeah. I think that's an interesting thing to talk about. It is weird, and I noticed this in the first episode of the new season.
Yeah.
There was like an arse shot of Summer. Like there was like, you know, a direct like shot of Summer's arse in the first episode, which I noticed. I was like, wait, hang on, what? Why is that there? It's literally there for no other reason other than to be a shot of Summer's arse. And then like throughout they're talking, you know, Summer's got things like, well, suck my tits, eat my boobs.
Yeah,
what is it?
She only talks sexual references and innuendos now.
Yeah.
And specifically she says to Jerry, her father, suck my white tit.
Yeah.
And she's, you know, and it was weird. Like, there's that scene where she's with Rick in the spaceship and they're both visualizing and talking in graphic detail about eating arse. Her and Rick, her grandfather, they're both like, and we're gonna be like, like, that's quite weird, you know. And
and they've got a lot of like they have loads of shots of like Summer side on showing off her tits, or like from the back showing an arse shot,
like defined,
or like, you know, like, or no, lots of leg. In like some of her costumes.
They sexualise her more than do Beth. And way more than Beth.
I just think, why? Why is this here? Why are they doing this? It's so weird. It's so unnecessary. Why are they doing this? And it's because sex sells. Yeah. And because a lot of fucking people that enjoy the show probably you said.
Yeah, probably fancy Summer a bit. I mean, here's a fun fact. And it's not fun. It's disturbing. But it's still a fact. Most popular Rick and Morty fanfiction pornos. Number 1, Rick and Morty. Number 2, Summer and Morty. Which is especially weird considering how much the fan base hate the incest baby.
Yeah.
Which, again, let's go back to the plot because that comes up.
Yeah.
So, during the dinner party, Morty storms out because he sees how much, you know, he's been replaced.
Yeah.
And then a basically anime mob family kidnap him. And are like, you know, we see you're the smartest one here and you don't like it here. We want our suits back and we want your help to get them. And Morty's like, you want my help? Go fuck yourselves. And he causes the car to crash because Morty Smith is a little fucking badass. He is. He's a fucking...
As we've discovered in the recent episodes, Morty has become a more defined character. And something that you said that was mentioned was that a theory is that this season is the backstory to Evil Morty.
Yeah. And
I think it could be because you know in the previous episode we see him single-handedly, without Rick's help, without Rick being there, without the help of anyone, he single-handedly,
also without empathy, he didn't feel bad
without empathy shit. On his lonesome obliterates 4 people. Like, you know, before it, like, you know, there's the fucking the Purge one. Mm-hmm. But that's with Rick. You know, he has Rick there. You know, he's doing it with Rick. Rick is helping him do it. This time, he did it on his own. And he kicked arse.
He literally... And yeah, we talked about this earlier. And this... Because this happened in the fight. Morty Smith did this. He put a ring in a woman's mouth, said air, and her head exploded.
Yeah.
Morty Smith, the 14-year-old boy, has
done
that.
After he'd broken into the room after killing their other...
And beheaded him.
Yeah, beheaded him. Eddie. You know, the
Eddie.
Gangster.
Hey!
Some fucking gangster mob boss.
He's voiced by Steve Buscemi, I found out.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I know.
But he kicked ass. He kicked his ass. He fucking wrecked him. He
destroyed him, yeah.
He destroyed him. Fucking Morty Smith. It brought more power to the character. It made you think kind of like, whoa, okay, you know, like, you know, this isn't just,
you know, I'd even go so far to say that this season, Morty's shown more power than Rick.
Yeah, no, definitely, he has. Fucking killing people with the
think of the first episode, he destroyed a civilization on his own too.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's become more Rick than Rick has.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why evil Morty is that way. Maybe it's because he's become Rick.
He's the Rickest Morty.
He's the Rickest Morty. Yeah.
Maybe that's it. But yeah, so continuing on with the plot, Summer fires Jerry and Beth. And Jerry and Beth and at one point, it is a funny conversation in the thing. Beth jokingly is like, should we like take her out? And Jerry's like, well, if anyone should, it should be you. It's legal for you, right? And Beth is like, what? What? You think it's legal for mothers to kill their kids? That's just a joke that mothers say. What fucking world do you live in, Jerry? And Jerry's like, I live in a world where mothers killing their children isn't comedic. Yeah, that was a funny little exchange.
Yeah.
But then Summer comes in and is like, Rick fired me. And Beth and fucking Jerry are like, oh no, what have we become, you know? Like, what should we do?
What have we become?
And at that point, Selma sits on the sofa, and it was at this point I realised that Reddit post was telling the truth, and I was dumbfounded. She sits on the sofa and is like, I need to tell you guys something. Do you guys remember? And it was also at this point, well, I'm going to talk about how I think it was actually kind of manipulative. She sits on the sofa and is like, do you guys remember that giant incest baby that happened a couple of weeks ago that people can't stop talking about? It was that line specifically. She says that shit. She says that people can't stop talking about. This was released on the same day as episode 4.
Yeah.
That line was written knowing that people were going to talk about the incest baby, knowing that people were going to hate the incest baby. Because I think in their heads, and I think it's probably very true, and I think if we actually rewatch Rick and Morty with this philosophy, we might actually be surprised. I think maybe. I think they plan a lot more than we think maybe. Because if this aired in 3 weeks, everyone would have been like, oh, they slipped that in because they saw how much people hated the incest baby.
Yeah.
But no, it was there from the very beginning.
However, think about how easy it is really to animate that. Not that hard. You can get an animator to animate it in a day. You could get a bunch of animators to animate it in a couple of hours.
No, but it was the
What if they'd recorded that on the day? What if they'd seen already, you know, what if Justin Roiland had seen what was happening and he was like, we need to film something
No, because it was released at the same time. Like, it was released for
the same time.
Because when it was released, you could buy it on Amazon Prime because that's, you know, when you buy it and you pre-order it, you know, that's how you fucking see it.
I see.
Trust me, that wasn't it. Like,
really?
This was the real episode, man.
That's insane.
This was supposed to air in 3 weeks.
That's insane.
I know.
So they did just...
They created something that they not only knew would be talked about a lot, but that they knew would be hated. It baffles me. Because it's the lowest rated episode of fucking Rick and Morty now. It's hated a lot. Like, it's badly hated. Which I mean, you disagree with me on this. I enjoyed it more than 2 and 3.
I kind of get why people would hate it. I did think
no. Actually, sorry, I tell a lie. I enjoyed 4 more than 2 and 3. 7? I don't know. It was fun. But I think, because me and you actually, we in the middle of the episode, we like paused it and actually had to talk about it. Because like, the show feels very different now. Like, Rick and Morty has gone through a very drastic change this season. And it's been happening since seasons 2 and 4. We've talked about that too, maybe on the podcast. How after the Wedding Squanchers, you know, season 2 finale, it felt very different. That was the first time that Rick was like proclaimed the smartest man in the universe.
Yeah.
And he became like a god.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's gone through another shift, and I don't know how to describe this shift yet. I can't even pinpoint what's changed, but something has.
I think multiple things have changed. The dynamics between all the characters has slightly changed for all of them. So that's why it feels like so unnoticeably different, because logically anything hasn't really changed. It's still the same, like the same sort of subject matter, but kind of like the interactions, like the subtle social interactions between the characters have all changed.
Yeah.
Like Rick is like suddenly more loving and favourable of his family. He's suddenly more favourable of Summer over Morty.
He's like showing affection.
The whole dynamic has changed. At the beginning, it was Rick and Morty. That was it. It was just him and Morty. That was it. It was no one else. And now, it's like the whole family. It's a part of the episode.
No, but it still feels like, even compared to like season 4, it still feels different.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I don't know. I think, because, there's a lot of new writers this season, and we talked about that earlier too, how Justin has Solar Opposites, which is on Disney Plus, which we will talk about on the podcast. It's amazing. And Dan is working on some sort of Greek mythology show. I don't think there's much out about it, and there's no episodes out or anything. Yeah, it's still in early development, but he has got another show that he's working on. And there's a lot of new writers this season, and I don't know, maybe they've just kind of stepped away from the behind the scenes a bit more.
I think so. That's what I think. I mean, it feels so much different. And you can tell. You can instinctively tell that it feels different from the previous seasons of Rick and Morty. Heck, even the last season that we had, it feels so much different than that, It feels a lot different. So I think it's noticeable,
Like the one with Planetina. I said it last episode too, actually. I think that's when I brought it up. It felt like a season 1 episode. And maybe it fucking was, Maybe a guy wrote it when it was still in season 1 and 2 and just didn't change much when he submitted it. But the show has progressed. Maybe all of these people are kind of like that. They don't really know where the show stands right now, and they're blending all the different tones of the seasons together. Because they haven't been there to see that progression.
Well, they would have been there to see it, but not to be a part of its development.
Yeah, exactly. Like, seeing it from the outside and being inside the creative thing is a very different story,
Yeah.
Like, if I was to just write an episode of Rick and Morty, it probably would also have a bit of, like, tonal blend there. I need to very much know the headspace of where everything is right at that point,
But the way it is envisioned in relation to where it is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's probably the case, because they've got other, Rick and Morty was a huge commercial success.
It was.
It was a commercial success. Like,
mainstream.
It was mainstream.
It's in Justice League. Barry Allen's watching it in his fucking TV.
It went big. It went big. It was one of the biggest not Cartoon Network, fucking
Adult Swim. Not
only
one of the big, the biggest. The only big.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They went commercial successfully, and that is a shit ton of money.
Would you describe Rick and Morty as having sold out? Maybe.
If they have given up, if they have just like given up on the fucking
writing side of it,
on the writing side of it to pursue other things, then yeah.
Because I won't lie, but season 1 and 2 of Solar Opposites were like when they peaked, like the War episodes.
Yeah,
they were
really
like,
good.
There's been nothing of that quality in season 5 of Rick and Morty so far.
Yeah.
It's still season 1 is still the best episode of that season for me, and maybe that was written in season 4. Who knows?
I honestly think that that's the case.
It could be.
I honestly think that that's the case, because it makes a lot of sense. Because,
it'd be a real shame.
Because those, Solar Opposites is really good quality. Is better quality than what we've seen so far on the new season of Rick and Morty, and it has been. And I think that's the case. People move on. People come up with a cool idea, but can you really stay at Rick and Morty that long when you fucking created it?
But they've still got 5 seasons contracted. If it's already starting to go, I wouldn't say it's bad, but if it's already starting to get worse.
We're enjoying it, but we don't spend 24/7 live, breathe, create Rick and Morty.
Exactly.
That's what they were doing for all those months where the seasons were coming out. They were live, breathe, creating Rick and Morty all the time, 24/7. That was their life. Could you really do that all the time for 7 more seasons? No. There's no way. You would lose passion.
They should have taken the deal.
You would run out. You would run out. So obviously they've gotten other people involved and they've moved on to new shit. Rick and Morty is old. Like, Rick and Morty came out fucking ages ago.
I think it was 2011? 12? 12. I think it was 2012. Because season 2 came out in 2014, I think, and it was 2-year gaps at that point.
Yeah.
Which is apparently that's not going to be a thing anymore. Since that deal's happened, we're gonna get, they're gonna try to do a season a year.
See, I actually think that's the case.
I
think that's the case. I don't think Justin Roiland and the other guy are doing it anymore. I think they've moved on to their own.
Respect his name. He did Community.
I don't know, but I honestly think Rick and Morty is old. They would have been doing it for ages now. They're not going to be wanting to continue to do it. They want to move on to other stuff, further their career, not stay on Rick and Morty, which was big, a couple of years ago. That was when it blew up. That was that was it for them. They can move on to the next big thing now.
I don't want it to become like a Family Guy.
I honestly think with 70 episodes, it is going to become a Family Guy. 70 episodes, Bradley. There is no way you can have 70 episodes of quality, of the same quality we saw in season 1, 2, 3.
Here's the thing. I actually slightly disagree. Alright, because you're not seeing Community, alright?
Mm-hmm.
But Community, alright, so there's 6 seasons of Community, alright? And it's very much agreed in the fan community that seasons 1 to 3 are the golden period. Season 4 is mediocre to outright bad. And then season 5 to 6 are actually fine, but they just don't capture the spirit. Season 1 to 3 though, because this is the thing, this was a live action sitcom on NBC. Unlike Rick and Morty, the first 3 seasons had 20 episodes each season. And seasons 1 to 3 are fucking brilliant. And that is almost 70 episodes.
Okay.
That's over 60. And they are. Series 1 to 3. And I think you should give them a chance. You would love Community if you got into it. We got to watch it at some point properly.
To be fair, I suppose, yeah. If the passion and the budget is there, it would be really good. But
and that's the thing.
Do they have the budget?
A lot of what works about Rick and Morty, what truly works story-wise and character-wise, comes from Dan Harmon. Like, he does still have a big part of the show. It was Justin's idea and it's his art style and they're his characters, but the actual progression of it and the character moments and the way the stories conclude and wrap up, that's all Harmon. Yeah, we gotta watch Community at some point. Because when it gets good, man, seriously, season 3 of Community, I'd say season 3.
To be fair, I have seen a couple of episodes of Community, and I've enjoyed the ones that I've seen.
Season 3 is one of the best seasons of fucking comedy I've seen. It's so consistently brilliant, and it ends so fucking well. The season finale 2-parter, which I'll say of season 3.
Yeah,
are possibly Community's best episodes.
It's a bold claim.
Shared by some people, I think. I think some people would say they're the best. I don't think they're the best, but they are fucking up there as top tier episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to watch it all. Watch it all. I've seen some of the early episodes and I've enjoyed what I've seen.
I think I showed you I showed you the first 4 or 5.
Yeah, I've enjoyed what I've seen so far. Fuck, we should watch some more.
Man, it gets good. It becomes seriously. Season 3 is one of the best comedies on television. I wish I was young when it aired, but man, I wish I could relive season 3 for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely have to watch it. Definitely, 100%.
And that's actually, oh my god. Now I'm a bit scared because season 4 is so bad because Harmon was actually officially fired from the show at that point, so he had nothing to do with it. But he's not been officially fired, but if he's slowly having less and less to do with Rick and Morty, as is Justin, I mean, if that's why season 4 is bad, That's maybe what's going to happen with Rick and Morty then.
Maybe. I think it might be so. Because, like, you know, Rick and Morty's been around for a while now.
Yeah,
like, we don't notice it so much, but it's been around for a while. It has. You know, so they're going to be wanting to move on to their next thing. You know, they're not going to want to be, like, you know, the height of their career to be Rick and Morty. You know, they want to move on to other stuff, I would imagine.
How long do you think Solar Opposites has left? How much more Solar Opposites do you think they could do?
Man, I think that is really good. I think Solar Opposites is really good. I think it should be bigger than it is. I think it should be more popular.
It is really,
it's really good.
It's weird, actually. It's so small that I was kind of reluctant to check it out. I don't know why I hadn't checked it out sooner. Like, I saw it was on Disney Plus, and finally, at some point, I was really bored. I was like, I'll give it a go. But man, it is
better quality, way more enthralling and exciting, and it gets you into it way better, way more than the more recent Rick and Morty episodes. Way more.
I won't lie, the first couple of episodes of season 1, they felt like Rick and Morty scripts.
Yeah.
You know, like the giant fucking monster cat man that they made in the first episode, and then the fucking microbe molecule man thing in the second one. Like, it felt a bit Rick and Morty-esque. But the more and spoilers for this, the more they focused on that fucking wall. And
that's what I'm thinking about.
Like,
that wall subplot was really good.
It's so
really
fucking good.
It's so good, and it's a subplot.
It is, and
it's a subplot.
And the idea
it's
of
insane.
and the idea of giving it a dedicated episode each season is genius. It's genius.
And it was
The child.
He's still it's so like that. Good, man. It's so good. It's really good. I encourage anyone listening to this, watch it.
Yes, it's on Disney Plus.
It's so good.
Or Hulu. Is Hulu actually still a thing? I don't even know.
Some people, I think, no, a lot of people use Hulu.
No, but I mean, is it literally still a thing, or is it like owned by Disney Plus now?
Oh, I'm not sure, but it is still a thing. You can still use Hulu, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, then yeah, it's on Disney Plus or Hulu.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a Christmas special. I think. I honestly, because it ended with that, and I don't think it's a gag. From what I've seen on the internet, it will be a Christmas special. So that could be fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Selling out for a Christmas special.
Hey, Doctor Who's Christmas specials are fun.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Doctor Who is fun in general. We should definitely talk about Doctor Who on one of these podcasts.
On one of these episodes, we're going to go deep into Doctor Who lore and canon.
Oh, Doctor Who is amazing. That is going to be an excellent
This
one.
episode won't break 2 hours, but the one where we talk about Doctor Who, that one's going to be a 2-hour one. So brace yourself, folks, okay? We're going to get deep into Doctor Who, and there will be no other topics. Do you understand?
Doctor Who is at the heart.
Do you know what the other topics of that episode are going to be? The Sarah Jane Adventures and Torchwood, okay?
Subgenres of Doctor Who.
Yes, the spin-offs. And Big Fish.
Doctor Who is brilliant. If you are British and you haven't seen Doctor Who, fucking watch it.
And also, if you like Rick and Morty, like you like the sci-fi of Rick and Morty, but you don't like the zaniness or the comedy isn't for you, like it's like you could see it as like a parody of Doctor Who sometimes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. No.
Like Rick is kind of a parody of the Doctor in a lot of ways. He even at one point in one of the season finales is like, "I'm Doctor Who in this motherfucker." Like,
you know, it's just a man. Yeah. He's a man. He's a woman
now. She's a woman now.
Yeah, she's a woman now.
They're just a person. A humanoid.
A human.
Well, not a human, a humanoid.
A human.
They're a Time Lord lady. They were Gallifreyan.
Not to get political.
Not to get political.
Yeah.
Not like Doctor Who hasn't got political or anything.
Oh, God. We'll save it for another podcast.
We will. And yeah, I think that's the end of this one. We were going to talk, and I suppose we'll mention this because we'll talk about it a bit next episode. We will have an episode where we talk about video games, and not only our favourites, but ones we think changed the industry, ones we found really disappointing. Just really go in depth on video games, you know.
Because it's a big part of a lot of people's lives.
It is.
It's a big part.
And we're also going to talk about Hector's hatred of single player games.
Oh no!
Just as a tease.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, thank you.
Trust me,
He hates them. He despises them. They killed his mum.
I hate them.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Nethergreen. Hector, thank the audience.
thank you for listening to this episode of Nethergreen.
This has been an episode of Nethergreen. The second one.
And we'll see you next time.
We will. Bye.